Well, I think the greatest change has been technology. So how companies and governments can have a more authentic conversation with their customers and the citizens. And it allows participation from these groups in both developing products as well as marketing them. So I'm going to be speaking a lot about our new book, which is Wiki Brands, but I'll also be touching on some examples from previous works, including Wikinomics and macroeconomics. So in Wiki Brands, we really looked at how to get the customer involved, how to use technology to involve them. And if you look on this graphic here, this is the amount of times each word appears in the book, the larger it is. So you can see we're talking a lot about social, we're talking about people, and we're talking about building community. Now, technology has really changed what the word brand means. Originally, brand just referred to something that you own. So it could be literally a cow. A cow is branded. I own this. Then it changed into something I trust. And Procter & Gamble was a pioneer in this, where they had their Moon and Stars logo on their soap and their candles. And that let people know, even if they weren't able to read, that this is an authentic product and you can trust it. Moving on to something we want, this gets into the Mad Men era, where we're talking about here's something, creating a need within a consumer group. Moving on to something you prefer, once you have many, many brand extensions, there's a lot more choices. So here's what we're getting into. Here's something branded, what you prefer. The next stage getting into that is something you love. And Apple's a good example we have here. And you even have that series of commercials of what a Mac person is and what a PC person is. So it really gets something very authentic. Harley Davidson's another good example. People where your brand is a tattoo, they're going to be very, very loyal to it. And the next stage we're coming to is something you actually participate in. So this is where consumers can actually become part of product development. They can be your PR department. They can do your customer support in many cases. And they can certainly go and spread the word and defend you in case that happens. So we're talking about the power first. And there's so much more information that's created than we've ever seen before. In the last 60 seconds, there was 4 million web searches. 500,000 times people shared some content. That could be somebody putting up a video on Facebook or somebody putting a photo in on Flickr. There's been 100,000 product shares. That means somebody talking in some way about a product. 40,000 links have been shortened. 40,000 people have taken a tweet and done something with it, either commented on it or retweeted. And if you think about Facebook, Facebook would be the 4th biggest country in the world based on population. And people are creating more data than they've ever had before. In fact, the amount of data is doubling every 18 to 24 months. So if you think about that, the amount of data created about you after 5 years, there'll be 10 times as much of it. Putting that forward to 10 years, there'll be 100 times as much data about you. And 20 years from now, it'll be 10,000 times as much information. It's very, very rich. People will know a lot about you. And we'll talk about some of the concerns about that as also ways that customers can use that to tailor a product or an experience directly towards what you're looking for. 2006, Time Magazine named you as Person of the Year. So give yourself a round of applause. Now, you're all fabulous people, but why they want to do that, they talked about you as the individual creating content. Right? And while one person can be very, very important on this, the wisdom of the crowd means if you have many, many people doing it, you're going to have something created, like Wikipedia, that is far beyond anything we've ever seen before. It's the greatest, most in-depth piece of research that exists in the world today. So talking about mass collaboration and how that can help things, I'm going to start with the opening story from Wikinomics. So here's a picture of Rob McEwen, who ran Gold Corp at the time. And it was a gold company, and they had a gold mine property in Red Lake, Ontario. And they the engineers couldn't tell Rob where the gold was. And that was very frustrating for him, because he thought there would be a lot more on this property. And he had just come back from a Linux conference where people were talking about the power of open source. And he said, well, I'm going to try this to incorporate these principles and help me find some gold. So he put together a contest. He put up $575,000 worth of prizes. And he got submissions from all over the world. And people using different types of science that had never been used before in mining and exploration. One of the really cool examples we saw was somebody built a 3D model of the ground underneath the ground, and they flew a virtual helicopter through it looking for gold. So the contest identified 110 new sites, and of those sites, 80% produced new gold. They didn't know it was there. And these are actually gold bars that Rob's sitting on here. So they did very well from it. Before they ran the contest, the company was worth about $100 million, and they were at risk of a hostile takeover. Afterwards, and they're now worth more than $10 billion. And Rob told us that the spirit of openness that came from this contest really spread out through the organization. So it's not all about the money, though. Sometimes people do it just to feel part of something. So if you look at Wikipedia, Wikipedia now has more than 16 million articles, more than 270 languages. This is Simon Pulsifer here, who has actually made 100,000 edits to Wikipedia. This is his own Wikipedia entry, which he'll tell us he had nothing to do with. And he's sort of famous for becoming famous on Wikipedia. So I introduced him at a conference once as Wikipedia's Paris Hilton. And he wasn't actually that pleased with it. But when you ask him why does he do it, he does it because he likes being a part of a community. He likes having the power and the accomplishment of really making something better. And he's important on it. He's a very big fish in that sea. And because of that, he's been in Time magazine, the article that I had, or the issue I had up earlier. And he's got job offers and lots of interviews because of it. And it's pure meritocracy why he's risen that high. Journalism is a business that can really use the power of its readership. The Guardian, which is the newspaper of the United Kingdom, has done a great job at this. They've created something called the Data Store, where its readers can access back issues and other data that doesn't even make it into the newspaper. And as long as they get proper accreditation, they can use that into their own products. There was a scandal about a year ago in the United Kingdom where there was a lot of ministers or members of parliament that were expensing things that shouldn't have been expensed. The most egregious example that appeared up once is somebody expensed a moat around their country home. So what the Guardian did is they had 170,000 documents that were suddenly became made available. And these were expense reports of these MPs. And there's no way that the back room of the newspaper would be able to go through these. It would take them years. So what they did is they put that, they made them all public through Data Store. And readers came in and put them in 4 categories. One of them was, you must investigate this right away. And they were able to go through all 170,000 issues, or 170,000 documents in 80 hours. And it gave a huge competitive advantage to the Guardian over its competitors. Another example here is this is the Eye on Earth panel. And so anybody that's in the European Union can go onto this site and find out very detailed information about air quality and water quality in their neighborhoods. So you can find out things about ozone levels, nitrogen dioxide, carbon emissions, and there's also a forum on here where you can participate and add information back up to go in and participate on it. Another good government example is the town of Freiburg, Germany. They have their town budget, which they put online, and they've allowed citizens to participate in it. And so what they do is there's 22 different areas of the budget, and you're able to go and alter them. So if, let's say you think more money should go to police, you can drag that along. But the whole thing has to balance in the end. So whatever you add to, you have to subtract that something else. So it's a good exercise because it lets people know that things aren't free and you need to have trade-offs. And by doing this, they ended up having about 10 times the level of participation that they had in normal town hall meetings.